All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the International Association of Woodcarvers. Today is the 28th of December, 2024. It's our very last meeting for the year for 2024. Just want to say thank you all for a year full of good wood carving meetings, and hopefully you've been able to gain something from the content that we've provided. Just want to remind everybody to go out, check out International Association of Woodcarvers on YouTube. You can go back and watch all of our previous videos in the past. There's good content. We're going on our 5th year, so there's almost 200 videos out there. We wanted to build a library where people can go out and rewatch things and learn from what we provide. So hopefully you all have taken advantage of that. Today on our meeting, we're going to have Ryan Olsen. Again, he's going to be our last presenter for the year. Look forward to hearing from Ryan. We got him signed in there a few minutes ago, and he's ready to go. Before we get started, though, I want to tell you a little bit about some stuff that's coming up. Ryan's going to be teaching a class starting January the 11th. It's on carving humps and hotties. I'm sure he'll talk about that some during his presentation today. If you want to sign up for that, reach out to Ryan, get information over to him. He'll tell you what you need for the class, and he'll get you signed up. Janet Cordell is going to be teaching a class on January the 6th. It's on raccoon with a leaf. Janet's one of the best animal carvers out there, and she's just an overall great carver as far as I'm concerned. So if you get a chance, try to take a class from her. Dell Green, who I saw on, I believe, today, is going to have a class carving shorties, and it starts on February the 1st. Dave Stetson, who is on with us today, is going to have a class carving a cowboy with a bottle. That's going to be on March the 1st. Dwayne Gosnell's got a class January the 7th, pondering caricature. So quite a few classes out there. You can go on Woodcarving Academy and look at all of the options as far as classes go. These are all live classes again, so you have to sign up through the instructor, and the instructor will give you the materials that you need. While I'm talking about Woodcarving Academy, I just want to remind you all, that's also a subscription service. You can go out and sign up with them 1 month, 3 months, or a year. And all of the past recordings of classes that he's made available are out there for you to learn at your own pace. You can go out, take advantage of those, stop them, pause them, rewind them, do whatever you need to do to be able to learn the process that some of these carvers use to create fantastic carvings. So make sure you check out that. Also, today in our meeting, we're going to be doing an auction. As usually, we try to do auctions to raise money to continue these meetings. This week's no different. We're going to be doing an auction on a couple of items. So it's going to be one auction, but you'll get both items. The first one is going to be a basic palm set. It looks like this. This was donated by Chris Willett from the Whittling Shack. And this is the tools that Ryan's going to be carving on today, and he's going to tell you more about that. But the winning bidder will get a set of 5 basic palm sets, and you'll contact Chris, let him know which set that you want. He'll work out all the details and ship it out to you. But you'll also get a 1-month subscription to Woodcarving Academy. Again, like I told you a few minutes ago, they host a lot of great carving content. Euron's been gracious enough to donate 3 certificates, so we'll be doing 2 more of those at the beginning of the year. But this one, you'll get 1 month subscription free, so you can go out, check it out, test it, see what you think, and then you can sign up after that if you'd like to. So if you're interested in bidding on these items, put your bid in the chat as usual. At the end of the meeting, a high bid will win, and you'll get the 5-piece Stubai basic palm set and the 1-month Woodcarving Academy subscription. So make sure you go out and put that out there. Before we get started with Ryan, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Dave Stetson. Dave's going to be doing our weekly words of meeting, so weekly words of wisdom. So Dave, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Okay, Blake, thank you. Got 2 of them, but the first is do the difficult things while they're easy, and do the great things while they're small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step.
That's good.
That was a quote from Lao Tzu, the 6th century semi-legendary philosopher. Chinese philosopher. Yeah, I'm still trying to play with that one. But I want to add one to it because we're coming up on baseball season, folks. Like it or not, I like it. But this is a quote from Babe Ruth. Yesterday's home runs don't win today's game. Same could be said for carvings that you've done. You get that best of show, you get that blue ribbon. That's the end of that one. Got to move on.
Thank you, Dave. No better words than that right there. That should keep you motivated to do better and carve more in 2025. So we appreciate you sharing that. Again, today on our meeting, we've got my friend Ryan Olsen that's coming on. We've had him on a few times before. Ryan's going to be, again, teaching a class that's coming up. It starts January the 11th, so you'll need to get signed up for that. But today, he's going to be using Stubai tools and carving caricature heads and those tools, and he's going to be talking a lot about the Stubai. So, Ryan, I just want to say thank you for coming on today, and we will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hey, it's a joy to be here. And are you able to, can you hear me, Blake?
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, Dave, it is pretty awesome to hear you say those words about continuing to carve. I've been watching Dave for a lot of years, and I've been wondering when that year is going to come that he's worse that year than he was the year before, and he hasn't hit that yet. And so he continues to improve, and seeing where he was 20 years ago, that's a pretty formidable task. And, you know, that mindset of growth and that mindset of change is something I think every artist has to have. And as soon as you get really comfortable in what you do, and start just doing what is comfortable and just spitting out the same thing over and over again, that's when you get stagnant. And I really love that. As a matter of fact, last night was a pretty incredible night here for me. We just moved into a new house out in Utah. And for those of you that have moved, you know, moving is really tough, and been setting up a new carving studio and getting things set up. It's been tough. And last night I got a carving from Dave in the mail, and I'm going to show you a little bit of it. And he's holding a nickel. It's a long story. It's a long story why he's holding a nickel. But I don't want you guys, I want you to remember how much it means from one friend to another to receive a carving in the mail. Not only did that make my night, it made the week for me. Been kind of a, you know, not the greatest week in the world, and to get that just made my day. So if any of you get the idea or the notion to get a carving, box it up and send it to a buddy, I think you are probably underestimating how much it'll mean to a friend to get that carving in the mail. So do it, and don't be afraid to share your carvings. Now, along with talking about this hobby and how fun it can be, I want to talk just about, it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but I want to talk about customizing your tools. And I've given this quite a bit of thought. I've had a few people that have said, why would you ever want to carve your own knife? Why would you want to ever carve hand chisel? It just makes it uncomfortable in your hand, and it's just a tool. And my thought is, well, is it? I want to tell you a story. So this was probably about 25 years ago, maybe 30. I was running a painting business, and I teach all year long, and then I paint during the summers. And I had saved up my money, and I brought a brand new paint pump. It was a Titan 1010 paint sprayer, and it came and it was shiny and pretty. And I remember I really loved that thing. And every time I'd paint a house, I'd rub it down and I'd keep it clean and make sure it was always put away. And took a lot of pride in that. Well, after 3 or 4 or 5 years of using that thing, it was covered with spray paint. I could care less. And then after 30 years, whenever I see that sprayer, it's just work. I just think of work. And so my thought is, I don't ever want to get to that point with my wood carving tools, where I look at my wood carving tools and I just see them as work. If I do, I think I've failed somehow. I want to be able to look at my wood carving tools and be excited and to be inspired. And so for some of you out there, some of you craftsmen purists, you're going to say to carve up a tool and to put a face on it, it's just weird. I think it's just fun. And isn't that what we're doing? You look at you go to any golf course and you see a golfer who's really excited about the game. They may not have the greatest game in the world, but they will have all of these golf cozies that are put on their clubs with their name on it. And they'll have whatever it is that they get so excited about. It's fun, and it's supposed to be fun. You know, in our carving areas, we want our carving areas to be places that will inspire us, that when we go to them, we'll feel relaxed and inspired and ready to create. And so for me, the tools, and so with that kind of backstory, think about what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And so probably about 5 years ago, I had a year where I traveled a lot. Matter of fact, I traveled too much. I went and taught all over the place. And I kept having to pack up my tools, and I kept having to unpack them and pack them. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a travel set of tools. And so I had used a few Stubai palm gouges and had liked them. And I knew that Marv Kaiserset loved Stubai, and I knew that they were great steel. And for me, with the tool, number one, how is the steel? Number two, is it available? Number three, how affordable is it? That's my criteria. I want some good steel that I can sharpen, that's got some shapes that I like. And so I went ahead and ordered a Stubai set, very similar to the one that's being auctioned off. And this was around Christmas time, because I had talked my wife into getting the set for Christmas. And I ordered the set, and it came in probably December. And then the night it came, I was so excited that I sat down and I carved faces in my tools. And you know, I look at it as it's okay to get excited about something. And so I want to show you some of the faces that I carved in these tools. So I wanted to have some faces that would be that would still leave a smooth area against my hand, because you could carve and make it all sharp and it wouldn't be very usable or very comfortable in your hand. So I wanted to design some heads and some faces that were comfortable in my hand. I think this gal was the first one I did, and I liked the idea of just leaving the hair the shape of the gouge. And I'll get that in there so you all can see her well if you want to give her a try. And so I carved her. And then I thought, well, she needs a more sophisticated sister, staying with the same design, so that I had the smooth wood when I was pushing. So that it really, with that design, as you see, as it sits in my hand, it doesn't really affect the way the tool is used at all. As a matter of fact, it really literally doesn't bother me at all. And a lot of that has to do with what do I leave on the top of the tool when I'm driving it. And so for the female face with hair really works well. And so that shape, and you can play with it. This girl is a little more quirky. She's got a smile with her tool. Now these, I wish Chris isn't here. I think these are oak. I'm pretty sure that these handles are oak. And so they are a little bit harder to carve, but they hold detail really well. And so I carved those three ladies first, and then I wanted to start playing. So I thought, well, what else could I do that would maintain the shape of that handle? And so I did this guy, kind of a race car driver kind of a thing. I wanted him to have a helmet so that it still feels good in my hand. Then I'm thinking round heads. So I did a hockey player. This guy got hit in the teeth, but it's still really the shape of the Stubai tool. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me a bit, because this is how I hold my tools. So then I did this. Then I started, let's see, this guy's a skater wearing his skater helmet, kind of a party on dude, kind of a face. And then I tried a Rasta guy with a round just his round Rasta hat because I had seen one of those hats that was rounded. So I liked that idea. Just trying to carve some different and unique things with that similar shape. And then, for your smaller tools, really, when you get down to your smaller tools, you don't need to push those things very hard. That's where I took more liberty in carving more detail. I wanted to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger face. I thought it'd be fun to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger face on a little dainty chisel. But the reason I did more detail on that, because you don't put much pressure with this thing. I mean, this is just little light cuts, and I wanted to try something different and unique. And then this guy has kind of the old-fashioned hat, so it's still rounded on top for the pressure. But I did do ears on him. Not all of them have ears because the ears can be you can feel that a little bit more in your hand. And then I did another girl with her hair kind of coming off her face. I was looking at some of Harold Enlow's stuff, inspired by the asymmetry and some hair coming down across the face. So those are some of the ones that I carved. And then these are the ones that I take when I go teach. Those of you that have studied with me on the road, these are the ones I take because since I've carved these, I haven't lost one tool since I've taken these. And before that, I had lost a whole bunch of Gouges. And with these, if these end up in a toolbox, everybody's going to know, oh, that's not mine. And so that's another reason. It just really personalized. It was a fun way of personalizing the tools. And so I keep my tools in just a simple little box that I can, and then I just put my tools opposite when I put them in the box, and I have a little lid that I slide across it, and I can take that, throw it in a suitcase, throw it in the back of my car when I go teach. So that's what I like to do. When I go teach, it keeps it simple for me. And so that's kind of the backstory of how this all started. And yeah, you know what, Blake, we can ask if there's any questions from that point. Does anybody have any questions from that point?
I just wanted to let everybody know you're available for questions if they want to unmute and ask. They're welcome to do that at any time.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions yet?
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
I got one question. Do you soak them or do anything to make them more carvable or just go as they are?
Yeah. Who is this?
Christopher Brickle.
Oh, hey, Chris. Yes. So Christopher asked, do I do anything to prepare these gouges? So I didn't do anything to prepare these gouges. I have heard stories that Harold Enlow used to like to boil his gouges for 5 minutes before he'd carve them, the old Ramelsons. But I really haven't tried that. I've got pretty strong hands, and so the oak doesn't really bother me. And so for me, I didn't do anything to prepare the wood. I just went for it. It's a little bit harder. You got to have sharp tools, but I don't mind carving oak. That's a great question, Christopher. Anybody else before I go on?
Ryan, Mike
Yes.
Noland.
Hey, Mike.
Hi. You wrap the gouge though while you're working on the tool, right? You put tape around the gouge itself.
You know, Mike, you know, I wish we could sing a duet on this Zoom, but there's too much delay. If you don't know Mike, Mike is a tenor, and when he and I get in the same building, there's a song.
Yep. I appreciate you sharing your voice. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Hey, and that's a great question, Mike. So what Mike was asking is how do I prepare the tool without cutting myself? Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. When I first, that one night when I sat down and carved most of these, I am one that when I start doing something, I can't stop. So I carved one and just kept going. But I started using a glove, and I couldn't hold it well enough. So then I just started holding it with my hand like this. And as you guys know, that's really not smart, because that knife is so close. But I did all of these that way. But since then, as I've been on the road, a man by the name of Jim Rooker, and a lot of you know Jim, good friend of mine, he made some prototypes and he kind of developed this little simple thing, which I've been using. So Jim said, Ryan, why don't you just take and I don't know if he got this from anywhere else or where, I think he invented it, but I don't know. He's a pretty smart dude. Take a 2x4 and just bring the bandsaw kind of down the center and around. And then we left it so that the wood came together on the top. That way I could just take the gouge and put it down in there, and I would have a great handle for carving. And when I squeeze here on the top, I've got something that can really hold that tool in place. And so I'll get a picture of that. And if you ask, do I have a pattern? I don't. It's a free class, so you can kind of figure that out. I don't know, piece of 1.5 by 1.5. Well, it's just a 2x4. I just took a 2x4 and kind of cut it in half. And that's a really great holder when you're doing your carving. You can just hold it with one hand with your glove and then kind of get that out of the way. Any questions on that or thoughts?
Thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely, Mike. I appreciate the question. And then I wanted to talk about finishes on these when you do get it carved. By the way, Blake, how's that auction coming along?
It's great. We're at $200 right now, and again, good opportunity for somebody to get their hands on some great tools. And also, if they haven't tried Woodcarving Academy, this is a perfect opportunity.
Oh man! And I'll tell you what, well, Blake, what does that money go towards? It goes towards supporting what you're doing, right?
Yeah, so we continue to have to pay a monthly subscription and a yearly subscription for Zoom, and we get the maximum because again today we've got 106 people on. Who knows how many we're going to have on in the future? So we get the maximum so that everybody can come in that wants to, and we use all the proceeds to go towards paying for the subscription to be able to do this. We've got some great sponsors that donate stuff. Helvy's donated stuff. Again, Whittling Shack, Woodcarving Academy, and that's the only way we're able to have these meetings. So it's definitely a good opportunity for people to participate in the meetings and allow us to keep having these things.
That's pretty great. So let's get that bed up there. And by the way, if you guys haven't met Chris Willick, what a guy. I was hoping he'd be here so that I could embarrass him and tell him all the great things about him. But this guy grew up around wood carving. His dad's a master teacher, and his dad's really good friends with Marv. And so he grew up around Marv Kaisersat and his dad Ian his whole life, and Ivan. And really just loves it, can't get it out of his blood. And if you think that guys like that are out there making $1 million selling palm tools, you might want to guess again. He tries to keep his prices down for you. And one great thing about him is he'll get back with you right away. So if you can order a set of these and go for it. If you order your set now, I think he's got them in stock now. He does know as they run out. He runs out from time to time, and he's one of the very few vendors in this country for Stubai. And I love these Stubai tools. So I'm going to move on. Oh, I was going to talk finishes for you. So on the finishes, what I like to do on these is the tools themselves. As I noticed, let's see. This is a tool that hasn't been carved, and it's got a pretty shiny finish. It's got a gloss. And it's got a pretty thick finish. And where you're going to be using it all the time, and I don't know if you're like me, but my paws get dirty while I'm carving. And so I decided I wanted to put a gloss finish instead of a satin, which I don't typically do on my carvings, but I wanted to blend with the rest of I wanted the face to blend in with the rest of it. So you can see some of the glistens off her face. She's got a gloss finish. And so whether you want to do a few coats of a gloss lacquer or use a triple thick lacquer, or whatever you want to do, experiment with it. But I put a pretty heavy finish on it. And then to make it still look like a tool, if anything, stain that wood slightly with a little flesh, and I'm talking slightly. And it wouldn't take much. And then I use for my blush, I'll use a cadmium red light, and I use that on the lips too. And on most of them, like on this Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think I just left it the color of the oak, and then I just put a little cadmium red light and then some super white teeth on that. And then I sealed it really well so that I can scrub it. You want something that's going to keep that dirt off, and that's going to be scrubbable. So in the finish, that's what I would suggest. And there's different shapes of different of the actual tool on the Stubai. But the reason I like carving them is they all have the same metal ferrule, and then kind of a wood shaped ferrule here that you can use, and then this just lends itself to the shape of a neck. Any questions so far before I go on?
I'll see you in the chat, Ryan.
Okay. So now, here's what I would suggest. Once you've ordered a Stubai chisel and you get it in the mail, or you get your set in the mail. By the way, Chris has a set called, I think he still got it. It's the Marv Kaiser set, kind of put together the tools that he uses. And there's more than that starter set. That's, if you wanted to know where to start, that's with a set. That's where I would start, because that's got the shapes that most of that. What I've got mostly here is a Marv Kaiser set, but it's supplemented with some other ones that I wanted. So once you get it, what I would suggest is create yourself a practice stick so that you can practice it in bass before you start carving in your chisel. And so what I did is I just took this, set it on here, traced around it, and then cut it. And then I just took my knife and kind of cut it down to the shape of one of these. And this is what we're going to be carving on today. That I'm going to be showing, because I can make big cuts and make it quick. And so, but it's the exact shape. I'm starting with the exact shape of a Stubai chisel, but I'm going to be doing it kind of in a practice stick on basswood, so that we can just to get some practice before I commit. So, okay. So it looks a little bit like a mushroom. I have a Stubai sharpened using 6-inch diamond stones, then stroke. How do you get, so I've got a few things. So he was asking about sharpening these Stubais. And I wish I could say I'm a master sharpener, but I am not. But what I am, I consider myself a master stroper because I love to, I will stroke a lot, but I don't take off a whole ton of metal. There's a guy named Dick Belcher, and I see him around the country from time to time, at least once a year, if not twice a year. And every time I see Dick Belcher, I take him my sharp edges, and he is a master at reshaping them. For example, if I do have one complaint with Stubai, and I don't like the shape of their number. Let's see, it says it's a 47, but it is just a small V tool. And there was just so much metal down right here. I mean, this thick metal went all the way, and then it was too shallow of a bevel. Well, Dick completely reshaped that tool and made it so that I love it, customize it. And when I go to do things like that, I don't like to do them that myself. I have people do it, but if I do it, I am too impatient for a diamond stone, so I'll use a belt or a wheel. Is how I'll do it, with really fine grit. Great question. So I'm going to I think what I want to do is this Arnold Schwarzenegger guy. And again, I wanted him bald because it makes me feel better about myself. It's got that round shape on my hand, which I like. And so this is one I did last night, just practicing for you and just to kind of get an idea what we're going to do here. And so that's kind of what we're headed for. Some really big teeth. Now, notice the ears don't stick out too far because I don't want those ears to dig into my hand. And, you know, there are a lot of people that have done this for years. Of course, Harold Enlow probably, I'm sure there's people in this room. Matter of fact, if you have a Harold Enlow carved chisel, let us all hear about it, because I'm interested to know how many of you actually have a Harold Enlow chisel that he's carved. I know that guy gave so many things like that away while he was out in carving. So here's what we're going for. And I'm going to start by drawing a center line just to keep my bearing. I really love those center lines. And then we're going to put as you noticed, we're putting his nose up pretty high to leave a lot of room for teeth. The higher that nose, the more teeth he can have. And so we're putting bottom of the nose here, top of the nose here, which in an ideal world, that ear, the top of the ear would be about where the eye is. We're going to lengthen those ears out a little bit for now, probably about there. So these are ear boxes I'm drawing. And then this gives me an idea of where the nose is. I'm going to do a center line here so I know where the front of the ear is. So see that ear, the front of the ear is about halfway between here and here. So that's about all the drawing I want to do for now. And now I'm gonna do a little bit of a brow notch and put in that nose, and then I'm going to set up the bottom of that nose about like that. Looks like the chisels are up to 235. That's cool. Thanks, Rich. Don't let Rich beat you out, everybody, at 235. By the way, I'm using a Help Me knife, and this is actually my signature series knife. Surprise, surprise. And I get asked so many times, what size of knife do I use? What shape of knife do I use? And I sure doesn't matter too much the shape of the blade for me. I'll use big blades on a small carving all the time. It doesn't bother me, but it's just got to be sharp. One thing I found is that a lot of people will get their knife dull from the tip to about here because they use that the most. And then because that's dull, they think that they don't like a big blade to carve with because it's dull from here to here. I've done the same thing and think, well, this knife is just to rough out because you're using the backside. But if you'll make sure that this part is always sharp, I don't think you'll care too much what size of blade you use either. And that's carving a knife handle. That's a whole other world too. That's maybe another thing for another day. Now I'm taking this Jamaican or this Rastafarian gouge. Believe it or not, when I'm carving with these, that's silly. I will reach for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll reach for Marilyn Monroe. I'll reach for the hockey player before I look at numbers. And it's almost funny. I get so used to carving with these that when I have to carve without them, it's almost boring. My wife tells me that I carve my friends, and it just she probably I have castings from Harold Enlow handles from 1994. Oh, that's pretty cool. So he did some castings of his handles. That would be pretty interesting. Harold is one of those guys that he just thought of it all. and he did it all, you know. And for us younger people out there teaching and trying to create new ideas, mostly everything we come up with, guys like Harold have already done it. If there's cool ideas to be had, he's had them. And another one you should keep your eye out for is Steve Brown, for doing palm tools. Steve does some really cool palm tools. And I don't know if at one time there was a class that he had available, that he would teach, palm tools. And Steve Brown is such a great carver and such a great guy. If you don't have a Steve Brown carving in your collection, you need to find a way to get one, because he's quite a carver and quite a guy. Okay, I'm going to take my my old man with an old style hat gouge, and I'm going to use it to create some smile lines. By the way, a lot of the effectiveness of a V tool has to do with the angle. Don't underestimate how much of a change will be made by the angle of your V tool. If you're going straight in, yeah, you're going to dig tunnels. But if you can add a little bit more of an angle, you can get more of the shape you're looking for. So now we're putting in his smile, his little folds here, because wasn't Arnold the governor of California for a while? It seems like forever ago that he was the governor of California. That's I've got a student in one of my high school classes that does an Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation, and he's always talking about California. Okay, so now we're creating a mouth mound, and see that shape, kind of angling it back. And when you're doing this with oak, it may take a little bit more muscle. But if you haven't ever carved things other than basswood, I'd recommend you try it. It's fun. You know, there's a couple out in they live out near Randy Landon's place. Randy lives in Wichita, so maybe they live in Wichita too. They're called the Cheenies, and Dave would know. But they have a collection of potato mashers, and they've sent potato mashers just around the country. Dave, have you carved one of those potato mashers? I've carved one of those, and they've got a whole bunch of potato mashers that people have carved. And why would you carve a potato masher? Because it's fun. Don't forget, folks, we're trying to have fun. Okay, so Steve has a basswood with females. Oh, yeah, okay. So sounds like Steve's got a basswood set with ready to go handles that you can order. So go check, if you haven't checked out Steve Brown's website, go check it out. I'm always asked, do you have stuff like this on your website? And my answer is no, I don't have a website. Because if you have a website, you got to check the website. And if you check the website, you sold something, you got to ship it out. Yeah. Any chance of carving out of the shadow so the details are clearer? Well, let me try this. Let me try coming down a little bit closer here. Is that a little better? Well, now I can't see because I'm about an inch away. Actually, let me do this. I think I can zoom in. Oops. There we go. How's that, my friend? Is that a little better? We'll try that, see if that works any better for you guys.
Hey, Ryan, will you be covering all this in the class that's coming up?
So, you know, Blake, in the class that's coming up, let me show you, let me talk about, yeah, you're welcome. So let me talk about this, Blake. In the class that's coming up, what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be carving in the class, some I'm trying to get some features of handsome guys. And so what we're doing is we're going to be trying to focus on how to carve a caricature that is still a caricature, but has the looks that define it as handsome. You know, I've been trying to carve pretty girls for like the last 7 or 8 years. And I thought, well, why is it so much easier to carve guys? And then I realized, well, because I carve ugly guys. So as I've been trying to carve handsome guys, I've realized it's almost as big of a challenge to carve a handsome guy as it is to carve a pretty female. And so this class is called Handsome Hunks and Heartthrobs, actually. And I've got a lot that I've been playing with, but probably we're going to be doing a bust with a two-piece, which, you know, some of you purists out there say, oh, I'd rather just do it one piece. But I like the idea of a bust and being able to articulate the head to get a look. And so this guy Ronaldo, I'm playing with, you know, this is the kind of guy that was on the Hallmark TV shows that came and stole your girlfriend. You know what I'm talking about. So I've been playing with a bunch of these, and so we're going to be talking about what features make it handsome, and how. Here's one kind of in process I'm playing with right now. But what features make it handsome, and how to carve a handsome face that has a handsome profile. That's what we're going to cover in the class. And we are going to, yeah, Rich said that first one looked like Burt Reynolds. Well, that means I was pretty unsuccessful because I was trying to do Tom Selleck. Rich. Oh, that's funny. He did look like Burt Reynolds, though. You know, they both have that, quite the mustache. So now I've done some we're leaving these eyes fairly simple. I mean, even on this guy, thank you, Josh. Josh shot Tom in there. Somebody said it looks like you, Dave Stetson. Does this? Did you say that this looks like Dave Stetson? You know what, Dave? When I met you about 25 years ago, I think that you had more hair than that, buddy. I mean, your hair, I think you had a ponytail back in the day. A lot of hair. Oh, what time does to us all. My wife married me because she wanted she liked my curly hair and dimples, and yeah, and so now I have neither curly hair nor dimples. Okay, we're going to do that upper lip to expose the teeth, and I'm going to come right along about there. I went to Blake says he's got an old edition with picture of Dave from what year was that, Blake?
It's not me. I'm not sure who posted that, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's Mike Nolan.
Oh, it's Mike. Mike, next time I come out to Iowa and see you, I got to see that. Hey, Mike,
I'll dig it out for you.
Mike, are you still doing your gathering of wood carvers?
I did this year and it was a great show. I'm still debating whether I'm going to do it again this year coming up.
Well, everything you do goes great, buddy, because you're just a great guy.
If I could get you there, that might influence me a lot.
Well, my kids have officially made me retire from woodcarving or from painting houses as of this year. They said I can't climb up on high ladders anymore. So I'm going to be carving more this summer and painting houses less.
Okay.
Okay. So this guy's going to have a big old smile, and we're relieving that upper lip, and that upper lip goes pretty straight across on a smile like that. So many people make the mistake of thinking that the upper lip has to curve up on a smile when it just doesn't. Now we're going to do that bottom tooth where it comes into the bottom lip. You know, with this thing that your own is doing with the Wood Carving Academy, I tell you what, it has, number one, it has just exploded the people's love of wood carving. And number two, it has just given people such great availability of instruction. And it's pretty wild what is out there, and how much great instruction you can get out there. The first time I was ever exposed to it, there was a I think it was called Carving Online, and I think Dave was involved in it, but there was a bunch of carvers that were involved in it, and I got into that Carving Online, and I started watching those videos, and I learned more in just like more than in probably 10 hours of watching that I had learned in a long time. And I realized that is such a powerful medium. And your own is just taking that. Oops, sorry, everybody. Your own is taking that to the next level. There is so much content on there. And you could get on there right now, and you could watch hours and hours and hours. I don't know how many hours I have just personally on there of classes I've done and things I've done, but a whole lot of things that we've done. So many of us, when we do live instruction, we do a live class, and then that live class will get put on there. And people will say to me, well, then if I can get on there and watch those, why would I do a live class? Well, the answer to that is, my wife and I went and saw Garth Brooks live, probably 3 years ago or so in the stadium, and being there and being a part of it while it's being created. That is the reason you're signing up for a class. You're part of the excitement. Your voice is heard in the class. You're able to ask questions. A lot of us have Facebook galleries that we do, and you can post your work. Yes, he said live classes are much better. I agree. I love live classes. He said you can post your work, and you can, if you're having struggles, you can talk to the teacher of the class. And then very often friendships are made in those live classes that will, people will do them together, and they're excited to be in the room, and we can have conversations. We can have discussions. So the spontaneity of being in the live class that's what you're paying for. Not to mention, you're also, every time you sign up for a live class, you're helping us teachers get motivated to create more content that will be out there. I wish I could tell you how much time it takes to put in to prepare one of those classes. And how much thought, for this Handsome Hunks class. I've been thinking about it for probably, I've been thinking about this class since, well, I was going to do it this summer, and I had to cancel it because we ended up moving. And so I've been thinking about it ever since then. And I'm still carving tons of people, carving tons of faces to prepare for the class. And so, the teachers will put in a lot of thought. Some of the ones that are coming up, I mean, Dave in March is doing his original cowboy holding a bottle, and I can't wait for that class. I'm going to be in there. If you get a chance to sign up for that one, he's been doing that thing for a lot of years. If you want to know somebody probably in this country that has probably just logged the most hours of carving, it might be Janet Cordell, and she's got a class coming up in January. So lots of great carvers to carve with at the Wood Carving Academy. Does anybody have any questions about those classes, Wood Carving Academy classes? This
Hey,
little,
Ryan, if somebody wanted to sign up for your class, what would they need to do? Just reach out to you on email?
yeah. My email is Ryan's Caricatures at gmail.com. It's Ryan's Caricatures at gmail.com. Or you can message me on the Facebook machine, or you can go to the Woodcarving Academy. And by the way, this little cut that I'm doing right here, this one was taught to me by Marv Kaisersat. I'm using a fairly big. This is the pretty girl with the hair over her face gouge. And this is a number 9. By the way, most of what I use is variations of number 9. I use like number 9s and number 11s is pretty much what I use. And I'll come in here to just get the shape of the inside of that ear like that. Marv used to talk about being able to put your finger in it and hold it on the side. You kind of put a hole so that you can put your fingers, and then you can, after you get those put in, you can look at it from the front and make sure that you've got symmetry. In the Handsome Hunks class, symmetry is one of the things we're going to talk about. So important if you're trying to carve anything. You're probably wondering, hey, did he just do the switcheroo on knives on us? No, I didn't. It's the same, using the same knife, been using the whole time. Anyway, as you're carving those ears, you can check for symmetry and height, and you can do like your dad used to do when he cut your hair, and this side was too short, so he cut this side shorter, whoops, and then this side shorter, whoops. Pretty soon you'll have ears that are that are just tiny. So one of the tricky things about the shapes of these gouges is they are flat on the back, and that's so that when you set them when you set the gouge on the table, it doesn't roll off. So that as you sit there, it'll just stay there. So I did mine flat on the back. If you wanted to do a round head and then sand it down, or if you want to leave it round, I mean, it's yours. It's you get to do it however you want to do it. It's your design. And in Steve Brown, I think if you go to his website and order his, he's got a set where he's got a head on both sides. So you can hold this side while you carve that head, hold this side while you carve that head. But if you want to carve Stubai, you're going to need to carve the handle, because for the most part, with the design, I've never tried pulling these out of there, but you can get like a Ramelson, or like this one. I think I put a Swiss made U-gouge in there and just drilled a hole. So if you use your practice piece and want to grab an old Ramelson, or if you have like a Swiss made gouge with a bigger handle, you could always just cut the gouge off of that and stick it in a palm tool. You can modify things. The flex cuts aren't the easiest to modify because they've got that really wide flat where it goes into the ferrule, which is hard. Okay, so we're getting some shape now. Any questions as I'm going along here? Okay, and if you're carving on this one, if you're doing just the handle, if you're doing a smaller gouge, then you can go smaller with the neck. If you're doing a bigger gouge, you would need to leave a bigger neck. And one thing that you can do is if you're taking the gouge out and you want to keep the ferrule off of the other tool that you've had and stick it onto this one, you can carve it so that you can stick that metal ferrule. That's to stop, the metal is just to stop it from breaking out, So as I'm pushing down here, a lot of pressure is put right here. And that ferrule, the metal, is just to stop it from breaking out here. And so that's the only reason that's there. And yeah. So Scott was asking, do I normally put the ears back that far? You know, they're pretty far back, aren't they, Scott? No, but this is kind of how it's working out. So it's a good question. I'm going to bring in this little, I'm going to make a temple right across here. So I'm going to take some wood out here and give him a little bit of a temple that goes up into that bald chrome dome he's got. Create a little temple there, cut out the wood. Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. Sometimes he's, hey, Happy New Year to you, Betty. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a great year, Betty. There we go. I know I've cut out the smile lines. I just didn't quite like them. Going with the flow here. There we go. Now, as you're carving, one of the things that I feel people really underestimate on a face is cheeks, like having a nice round cheek. I think it really can bring a lot of life to your caricatures. And start thinking about the shape of the nose right here, and then the shape of a cheek, and then the shape of the other cheek. So if I've got the nose here, put a cheek here and a cheek here. You see it a lot in in people, in the Santa Clauses people draw. But if you've got cheeks, nose, I mean, it can just really bring a character to life. Don't underestimate that. And in order to have that cheek, you got to leave the wood, and the wood there is created by when you put those smile lines in. That's where you start to underline the cheek, and then the top of the cheek comes as you put in the eye. Now, as we've done a fairly simple eye on him, we won't need to take out a whole lot up there, and you can get as detailed in there or as simple as you want. Sure tool. And then once you carve one of these, if you're somewhere and somebody loves it and they say, man, I love that, give it to them. You can carve another one. You just made a friend. Chances are they're going to love it. Chances are they're going to return the favor someday down the road. Don't underestimate how much that can mean to people to give them stuff. It really is especially this time of year. 1 month subscription to wood carving and so you're bidding on a 1 month subscription to Wood Carving Academy, and you can in 1 month you can see a whole lot of content in 1 month. And then you're also bidding on the Stubai. Chris Willock, what a guy. He has so kindly donated a Stubai set that's going to go to helping out international wood carvers. And if you don't end up buying the set, give them a call, pick up, load up the guys, make the guys Christmas this year by ordering a bunch of Stubais. If you carve them or if you don't carve them, I'm telling you, you're going to love them. And when you get them, don't tell your wife you bought new tools. Just put them in a drawer. And then when she asks when you got that, well, you put it in a drawer, take it out in about 2 months. And then when she asks when you got that, just tell her you've had it for a couple months, and you won't get in trouble. That's the way to do it. I learned that from her. Okay, getting close here. I'm going to create the top tooth and bottom tooth, and this is all about shadow. So I'm going to come in across here. And I'm going to bring the bottom teeth back to just create a shadow. Okay. And so as I'm carving this smile, I want a big shadow in this corner, a big shadow in this corner, and then a big shadow underneath that tooth. That's the 3 spots where I want dark shadow. And so I want a shadow there, which I just made. And you know what? If it's not perfectly straight, it's a little more character. And then I make a shadow here, going in deep. This will be a nice spot for that white paint this will be a nice spot to give it that white paint. It'll give it a real pop. I find it easy to show her when they arrive and get the eye rolling out of the way. That's great. Well, and that's why this time of year is great to buy things, because you can pretty much justify anything that you buy in the month of December. There we go. And then one thing that in this corner, if you want to make a cool little look, you can put a little downward chip in the corner, just like that. And maybe I'll do it on both sides, maybe not. Yeah, I think I will do it on both sides. All these little cuts that you try and allow yourself to try, and then you see they work. So much of learning to become a better artist is allowing yourself to make mistakes. If you don't allow yourself to make mistakes, and if you don't allow yourself to experiment, you need to change your ways, because you're not going to improve. If you feel that every piece of things that you do has to be a finished piece of art, then you're in the wrong mindset to get better. You need to allow yourself to make mistakes. You know what? And if you make a mistake on a U-gouge, maybe that's the one you give your buddy. And then you can keep the ones you really like to show off to your friends when you go to the carving shows. I'm going to do one more ear here, and then and that's probably about it for today. So big differences here. Now, great presentation. Oh, unavailable. I'm so sorry, Cheryl. You have been an incredible student, by the way, and I completely understand, and I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you down the road. I do one about every year. Oh, go ahead, Cheryl.
Thank you. And I will take a class next time. I have fun
how are
with
things
classes.
going? Everything. Oh,
Yeah,
well, I have fun
everything's
having you
going
in
good.
there.
Thanks.
Yeah, life's good. Good, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Take it easy, okay?
You
Yep.
too. Thank you.
And I do a class every January on the Woodcarving Academy. That's the only one I do, one a year. And this year, I'm only going to be doing, I think, I'm doing the Woodcarving Academy class, and then I'm teaching out at Affiliated Woodcarvers in Makokata, Iowa, in June. Come out and carve with me then. And Dave's out there too. So if you came, I'm teaching a 2-day class and a 3-day class, and Dave's teaching a 3-day class. If you came, you could take a 2-day class from me and then go take a 3-day class from Dave. And yeah. And then also I'm teaching out in Ellensburg, Washington at Northwest Woodcarving Academy. And that's going to be a fun one. And then Chris Willock and I have been talking. Chris has a wood carving studio, and I may be coming out there. I'm working on setting a date with him. So we're working on setting that up. Okay. Promised you guys an ear. I'm going to do an ear. So going to do the tragus first. I'm just going to come down from the front of the ear with my knife. Going to come down, going to make a point there and a hole there. And I'm going to take out the wood on both sides. Now with the oak, you're going to have to push hard or use multiple cuts to make this happen. There you go. Sorry about the lighting. This is the this is my virgin voyage here in my new wood carving studio that I just set up. So one of the things on my to-do list in the next month is get some new lighting before my class in January. So we'll have better lighting for you. There we go. Now, I like to look at the different profiles from the different angles. So I look from here. I want it to be shaped kind of a question mark shape. So I'm going to back cut it a little bit here. There we go. Thank you, Michael. You're kind. I appreciate it. And then I'm going to come in with this little you know what? Yeah, come in with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's cannibalism. Arnold Schwarzenegger eating Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm going to create this cartilage here. This is a really easy spot to bust out. We'll see you in January, Michael. Thank you. If I keep going up here, I'll bust out the top of the ear. So I start up here, I curve around, and then I come meet it here, and then I curve down. Just a quick tip for you so you don't bust out the top of that ear. And then if you want a little extra detail, you can take out a little bit of a chip right here to get just a little extra detail in there to get that little Y. Hey, thank you, Myron. We'll see you in January, Myron.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Have a great one.
Okay.
Hey, Myron, your cowboy that I have is still one of my top 3 all-time carved cowboys, man.
I've seen it in some of your videos. It's behind you up in the cabinet there.
I love it. You're one of my favorite carvers.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yep. Okay. That's about where I'm going to stop. Oh, another thing I just did to create kind of the profile here, I gave him just a hint of that little gap between his teeth, but I didn't want to make the full commitment of carving between the teeth. So I'm just taking out a little bit of a shadow, just a little bit of a chip cut right here. And that's not centered, but that's okay. That's why I do caricature, so that things will work out. You can't tell. You got to guess whether he just was born with bad genetics and has that gap, or whether he got an automobile accident, and who knows. But maybe he's been trying to open Coke bottles with his teeth. Thanks, Fabio, I appreciate it. We'll see you in Iowa. I'm glad you're coming out there. That's cool. Okay, so that's hey, Michael Bills, thank you. God bless you too. That's how I'm gonna stop him about right there. And then I would, if I was using this as just if I was going to use this just as a model, then I would take my blank my blank Stubai that I just got in the mail. Yeah, we do, Josh. We got to get over to the East Coast. Maybe Dave and I will take a trip out there. Mr. Cowboy, he is. So that's where it started, and that's how it looks. And then I would just take it and transfer it to this. I wanted to leave a little time here at the end for questions. Just a second here. Oh, I got lost here. Let me spin you around. I want to leave a little time here at the end for questions. Thanks, Steve Carton. We'll see you in January. Have a great new year. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
Mike Nolan.
Hey, Mike.
Hi. What was the finish you said you sealed those with? I didn't catch what you said.
I would just use a gloss, like a lacquer, or if you want to use a gloss Krylon, anything that's going to be a hard finish, that you're able to scrub. The reason I use gloss is so that it'll match the rest of the tool. I don't usually use gloss on my carvings because I don't like that look, but for these, it seemed to make it look a little bit more like a tool. So like a gloss, just a gloss lacquer spray. I just use a spray lacquer is what I use.
Okay. Maybe you said Krylon and I didn't catch it clearly, but
I said lacquer. There's like what is it? Like a triple thick that you can use. There's a lot of different finishes that you can use that are going to give you protective. But if you use a few coats of lacquer gloss, it would work great.
yeah, okay. Thank you. Great presentation, Ryan.
Hey, thank you.
I hope
Hey,
I can get out to Iowa in June to see you.
That would be fun. I would love that, Michael. I would love that.
All right. Take care.
You too. Is Merlin Olsen from Little House on the Prairie related? Cody asked if Merlin Olsen from Little House on the Prairie is related. Cody, he's my dad's brother. And so that has pretty much made me royalty here in Logan because I've taken a new job teaching here in Logan because all my kids live here. And thanks, Mitch. And so, yeah, Merlin was my dad's brother. He passed away about 10 years ago, but Merlin's the oldest in the family. And then my dad and my brother played in the NFL. And then my brother's son is going to come play at Utah State. He's a senior in high school and he's 6'8", 330 pounds. And he's going to be coming to play at Utah State, which is kind of fun. Question for the handsome. Oh, Christopher Brickle. So yes, he was just asking about the class. The class will be cutouts. Matter of fact, if you sign up today, I'll send you the patterns today. I've got them all ready to go. The class is cutouts, and you 2-inch is if you have 2-inch stock, that'll be plenty. That's what I would recommend. And then I'll send you if you sign up today, I'll get you those patterns in the mail today so you can get them cut out. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, Blake, I think I put them all to sleep, buddy. You awake still?
Ryan. Yeah. I wanted to remind everybody and see what you want to say about this. We're getting ready to start firing up advertising for Carving the Rockies. And so if anybody wants to come out and hang out with us out in Colorado Springs, and especially take part in that whittling competition where we go around, interview everybody, give them a hard time. They need to make plans to come out to that. And again, it's put on by the CCA. We're going to be doing that again in September. So you all need to make plans to get out there with us.
Oh man, that is the funnest time. I look forward to that every year. And if you can put a knife on a piece of wood, you probably got a chance at winning that whittling competition. That whittling competition's a blast where we usually have a celebrity judge. Last year we had the judge of Woodcarving Illustrated the editor, Woodcarving Illustrated magazine, which, by the way, putting a little plug in there for caricature carvers, she told us there at the Carving in the Rockies that the caricature portion of her magazine is what is really hot. That's what people want to see. There's a lot of caricature carvers. And so I think the founders of the original CCA would be excited to see how much that this art form has taken off. It's just so exciting and fun. So yeah, come out there. Thanks. Good point, Blake.
Thanks, Ryan. Dorissa is the editor's name, and she's also looking for people to submit article ideas to go in the magazine. So if you've ever wanted to be in Woodcarving Illustrated, and you haven't had an article out there, you can reach out to me and I can get you her information, or you can reach out to Woodcarving Illustrated and let them know that you have an idea. They'll help develop it. And then hopefully we'll see your article in the magazine down the road. So make sure you all participate in that. Just want to say thanks, Ryan, for coming on. It's always a joy to have you on here. And, if you get a chance to take part in his class, again, it starts on January the 11th. I encourage you all to go out and sign up. Make sure you go out and check out the Whittling Shack. Go out there and tell Chris that we appreciate what he does. Help support him, buy some tools from him. And I know it'll be a great opportunity to get some great tools. Hey, I wanted to tell everybody he also has soft V's. So if you've ever been looking for a soft V tool, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's the one with the wings and the U belly. Chris has those. So if you're looking for a soft V, reach out to Chris and see about ordering one of those from him. Just want to say thank you all for a great 2024. We'll go ahead and call the auction now. It looks as though the winner is, let's see, Freddie Pace. So Freddie, if you'll stay on, we'll get the information out to you. I want to say thank you all for all your support with the International Association of Woodcarvers. We're working on the upcoming schedule for 2025. I'll be posting that out on social media soon. We've already got a few people that signed up, and it's going to be new people that's not presented with us before. So look forward to that. Just want to say thank you all, and thanks for joining us on the International Association of Woodcarvers. Thank you all.
If you've got your cell phone, I'll mute myself, Blake. I'll
Yep.
see where everybody is to switch to them. All right, I'm muting myself. It's all good.